This is Khabib Nurmagomedov from Dagestan, a place nobody noticed
until this 29-0 undefeated champion made the whole world look up.
Dagestan has about 3 million people. That is smaller than Los Angeles, and Dagestani fighters as a group win roughly 87% of their UFC bouts. No country on earth comes close. Not America, not Brazil, not anyone.
So, what is actually going on here?
Picture a pair of worn wrestling shoes. Cracked rubber, frayed laces, sole worn almost flat. Now picture those same shoes on a 5-year-old in a village with no paved road. On a 14-year-old training twice a day in a gym that used to be a movie theater. On a 20-year-old who has already competed more times than most Western fighters will in their entire career. Here is what makes this worth understanding. Dagestan does not just produce champions, it produces champions who almost never lose. And when one retires, the next one is already waiting. Same region, same system, same result. For decades. Every major combat sports nation has looked at this and asked the same question. Nobody has given a complete answer, because the real answer is not one thing. It is 7 things stacked on top of each other, built over centuries, and it starts in a place most people cannot find on a map. Those shoes are where we begin, but there is something that is uncopyable that many countries are unable to replicate.
Land. For centuries, Dagestan sat at a crossroads between powerful empires. The Persians, the Mongols, the Ottomans, the Russians, all of them came. None of them truly won. Because the mountains would not let them. Deep valleys, jagged peaks. Villages are cut off from the world for months at a time. No outside power could protect those communities, so every village had to protect itself. Wrestling was not a sport. It was survival infrastructure. Children did not learn to wrestle because they wanted trophies. They learned because their culture demanded it. Strength was identity. Strength was safety. And there is one more physical factor that coaches in other countries spend millions trying to replicate. Many of these villages sit close to 2,000 meters above sea level. The air is thin. The body adapts. More red blood cells. Greater lung capacity. Kids hauling water and running mountain trails are building aerobic engines without stepping into a gym. When those same kids eventually train at lower elevation, they are running on a physiological advantage that took years to build. Geography created the culture. The culture created the fighter. But geography alone does not explain what Dagestan became.
Here is the chapter most documentaries miss.
In the 1960s, the Soviet Union noticed something. Dagestan was producing wrestlers with unusual consistency. So, the Soviet sports machine did what Soviet sports machines do. It invested. Formal training schools were built. Government money flowed in. The best wrestlers in the country were sent to create structured programs. Children were identified young and funneled through increasingly competitive levels. For roughly a decade after the Soviet Union collapsed, there was chaos. But in Dagestan, wrestling held them together. Local leaders doubled down on it. New gyms opened. Smaller villages built their own. Wrestling became a deliberate social policy. Keep young men on the mat. Keep them away from radicalization. Give them a positive identity, a respected path, a reason to stay disciplined. And it worked.
Now here is the part that most people get wrong. You will hear coaches in Dagestan say it is genetic, in the blood, something born into them. That explanation sounds poetic. It is also almost entirely incorrect.
Dagestan is home to around 30 distinct ethnic groups. This is not one tribe with one bloodline dominating a sport. The shared variable is not ancestry, it is the wrestling ecosystem. Over 30,000 registered wrestlers in a region the size of a mid-sized American city. Gyms are so full they turn kids away. Towns where 60 boys show up to a single practice session. That is not genetics. That is a funnel. A massive, relentless, competitive funnel. So if it is not blood, what turns that funnel into world champions? Two things: culture and coaching. In Dagestan, the wrestling gym is not just a place to train, it is a community institution. Parents drop children off the way other parents drop children off at school. Coaches are not just technical instructors, they are moral guides, father figures, men who pray with their athletes and teach them how to live. When Islam Makhachev talks about why Dagestan produces champions, he does not talk about talent. He talks about the fact that in America, the best athletes play American football. In Dagestan, the best athletes wrestle. That is talent density. When your most gifted people pour into one sport from childhood, the competitive level inside that sport becomes extraordinary. Training partners who would be champions anywhere else are simply the person you drill with on a Tuesday afternoon. And the style they develop is perfectly built for modern MMA. Their base is freestyle wrestling, which gives them the ability to decide where the fight happens. They layer Sambo on top, the Soviet martial art that blends wrestling, judo, and striking. If one takedown gets defended, they are already attacking the next one. Chain wrestling, seamless transitions. They do not try one thing and stop. They never stop. The appearance of simplicity is actually extremely efficient. Then here is the part nobody talks about enough. When champions retire in Dagestan, they do not disappear. They become coaches. They take the system that was built for them and hand it to the next generation. Khabib retires and starts mentoring Islam Makhachev. Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, Khabib's father, spent decades formalizing an entire coaching philosophy based on patience, pressure, and low risk. That philosophy is now embedded in how Dagestan trains. Champions become coaches. Coaches produce champions. The loop feeds itself.
Those worn wrestling shoes? They are not a symbol of toughness. They are a symbol of a system. Mountains, Soviet schools, cultural identity, altitude, Sambo, coaching lineages, a feedback loop that never stops. All of it, one place. By the time the fighter reaches the octagon, the work is already done. The rest of the world keeps asking why Dagestan keeps winning. Dagestan is not asking that question. They already know the answer. They built it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider following as we spend hours making these videos. It will mean a lot to us. Cheers.